All right, boys. Well, I think it's time to move into the most coveted Overcast Gamer presents the 2017 OCG Awards. We did this last year, as I mentioned before. We've got a whole stack of awards to give out here, so we may as well, crack on into it. First award, as with last year, biggest shit show. No Man's Sky this year, thankfully.
It actually made it a lot harder to figure out what was the biggest shit show was, because it was kind of a given last year, wasn't it?
Oh, No Man's Sky was still around a little bit though. So.
That's true. They did their big AIG thing, didn't they?
They did, yeah. They were the Atlas Rises or whatever it was called. But
it's just a shame because they released that big update and it's still No Man's Sky.
That didn't change it to it turned it into
completely different game.
changed it to a completely different game. Changed it into like a sequel to The Last of Us or something.
Yeah. That would have been great.
Well, that's how they released Last of Us Part 2. All right. Well, biggest shit show. The nominations we have here: loot boxes in general, just all loot boxes for all reasons. Microtransactions everywhere, so that's more than loot boxes. That's every kind of microtransaction you can possibly fathom. They were quite pervasive in the year. Microtransactions, loot boxes, and when you nail down the microtransactions, but was not a good year for that sort of carry on. We also have new Assassin's Creed, looks like a buggy mess. Does someone want to elaborate on this one? Because I don't know who added this, and I don't know anything about.
That was me.
Yeah,
and could just be a bit of my bias, but
that's fine. Yeah. We totally appreciate biases.
The only bits I've seen of it are from the Kotaku clip of the week or whatever. Thing that they do, and it's just hippos walking around like humans, and there's one bit where he's the assassin dude's he's standing on a fire or something, and he's trying to get his footing on it right, but he just keeps rising up into the air, and then eventually he hits some sort of ceiling and his whole body just turns completely flat.
God, this is horrifying.
Yeah,
brilliant, cool. That seems deserving.
I would call some of those features.
Yeah,
the hippos walking
being
on
a
two legs
Ubisoft game,
feature.
they pretty much are features, but it just looks sort of what was that one from a few years ago all over again?
Unity.
Unity.
Yeah, Unity.
Assassin's Creed Unity. Yeah.
With the faceless people, but.
I've watched a few Assassin's Creed Origins reviews and things like that, and it seems to be getting pretty good reviews, and people seem to be enjoying most of it. So I think that's probably just the amount that you've seen.
Just be a few outliers, yeah.
Everyone's blowing it out of proportion because it's fun to, muck around with glitches and things like that. But,
totally.
Yeah. The final nomination in this category is Mass Effect Andromeda, just in general again, which you can't argue with that. It was an absolute shit show. Yeah. Mass Effect Andromeda.
I'd forgotten about that, but I think we can probably all agree it was a bigger buggy mess than.
Yeah, I think it wasn't, because I'd kind of forgotten about it as well, but I think it wasn't kind of forgetting it because it wasn't a big deal. It was forgetting it because we wanted to repress the memory of that game.
Actually, I spent good money on that game. The thing about it is that, it got a bad rap off the bat when it came out because of obviously all the really overt stuff like, oh, she looks like a fucking killer doll when she speaks. Those really bad facial animations. But then it turns out that the game itself is just not that fun and not that amazing anyway. And so, while it was given a bad rap, it kind of got what it deserved in some ways. I don't know. I just think it's a bit of a shit show because they took a loved IP, gave it to a B team, and then just kind of just didn't give it the love it deserved. It just had no heart, and why would you do that to an IP like that?
Yeah.
So, yeah, shit show.
They also announced in the last few months that they absolutely will not be continuing to support the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they just abandoned it completely. Yeah.
Yeah, they have abandoned.
Wow.
It's an abandonware essentially at this point.
Huh. That's
yeah.
That's really disappointing and quite a shit show. So,
absolute shit show.
From memory, I think last year we just voted, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it'll be tricky if we have one vote for each thing, but we'll give it a go and we'll see how it pans out, kind of thing. So the nominations again were loot boxes in general, microtransactions everywhere, new Assassin's Creed looks like a buggy mess, and Mass Effect Andromeda. So we'll start with you, Mike.
I'd go for Mass Effect Andromeda. I think that was the biggest.
Yeah. Balthazar?
I'm going to vote for loot boxes in general. I originally put microtransactions everywhere because I think just having them in everything is bad. But actually, I wrote that before this year, before loot boxes were added, something that didn't previously have them. And yeah, I think just the RNG nature of loot box as a microtransaction just makes it the most obnoxious microtransaction.
That's fair.
Yeah. Okay, Reagan.
My vote is also going to go to Mass Effect because of all the reasons that I've already said. It was a shit show, and I'd want my $100 back.
I'm going to make this easy, and my vote is also going to Mass Effect, just because I didn't pay for it, but I was annoyed that they could release a game in that state and think they could get away with it.
Agreed.
Just not good business practice at all. So congratulations to BioWare and EA for producing the biggest shit show of the year.
Your trophy is in the mail.
Yeah. It's the one. It's a $5 Pack and Save voucher. We'll move on to the next award, which is one we did last year, and it's pretty tied to us in our name here. It's Best Use of Wind and Cloud and or Rain. Overcast Gamer. The nominations we have is Super Mario Odyssey for a change in mood/level design, New Donk City especially. Breath of the Wild for the same reasons as 2016. The weather wasn't just in the game; it was an active mechanic. Yeah, so things like you being struck by lightning when you have metal objects,
so
and things like that.
I'll clarify because I put that one down. Yeah, same reason as 2016, because I made a nomination in 2016 that was because the weather wasn't just good, it was actually, it affected how you played the game based on what was going on. Breath of the Wild, same thing. If it's raining really heavily, you want to put off climbing that mountain you were going to climb because you ain't getting up there while it's slippery. If there's lightning out, you better change to your wood gear or whatever. If the wind's blowing strong, that can be a boon or a, horrible blight. So weather was not only good, looked good, and reacted well in the world. It also actually changed the way that you played based on what it was.
Yep.
Nice, very good. The final nomination in this category, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Don't know anything about this. Does someone want to elaborate on?
Yeah, I put that forward. I was just remembering. Yeah, I had trouble remembering sort of wind and cloud and rain in games, but this one, really good looking game. But I just remember the first time I actually died in that game was quite near the start. You're walking across a plank high up on a cliff sort of thing to get to the other side, and the storm has rolled in and it's all raining and there's thunder and stuff, and it just sort of looked quite amazing. So I was looking around and trying to get cool screenshots of all the cool weather effects, and I didn't realize I had to actually balance on the plank at the same time, so I fell off and died. So
props to the game for that.
Yeah.
Very good. All right, Reagan, what do you reckon, man?
This is gonna kind of foreshadow latter votes of mine, but I'm going for Breath of the Wild. Just because I genuinely do think my vote last year went to Inside as well. where tying the weather and the environment and just kind of reality and into the mechanics of the game is just a really awesome way to design a game. And so I'm going for Breath of the Wild because they do that in an awesome way. And it forces you to kind of really think outside the square. So Breath of the Wild, well done. You have my vote.
Nice, pretty good. Balthazar.
Mine. I'm going to have to be that guy and vote for my own one here. Breath of the Wild as well. Neither of you guys' arguments swayed me to yours, so Breath of the Wild.
Nice. Mike?
Well, I was probably swayed by Breath of the Wild from what you guys said, because that kind of mechanics in a game just based off weather is sounding really cool, which Hellblade didn't do.
It just looked real good.
It just looked really good and caused me to die. So yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm the same. I've played very minimal amount of Zelda so far, but I really love. I remember Balthazar because you got that game first. I remember when you told me that if you're carrying metal, you have to take it off when there's a lightning storm. I was like, holy shit, they thought of everything. That's amazing. Really, really cool ideas there. So, and the fire spreading as well. Not a wind, cloud, or rain, but elemental kind of thing. Just awesome.
And can tie in because it creates updrafts as well, which is wind. So.
Beautiful. So congratulations, Zelda Breath of the Wild for best use of rain. We move into another bit of a negative one here, bit of a negative Nelly. Biggest twat. We had biggest dick last year, and it's kind of changed the insult to a bit more of our colonial roots. Biggest twat. So the nominations for biggest twat, we have whomever miffed the Need for Speed bit of the EA E3 press conference. Now this was Reagan. What was his name? I can't remember his name.
Oh yeah, Jesse Wellens.
Nice, very nice. Yeah, and Jesse Wellens was reading off an auto cue for Need for Speed's whatever the new one's called, and just got really awkward. He started stumbling over his words, and he introduced himself 3 times. He said the wrong name to a dude.
There was, I think what it was is that the kind of the auto cue prompter thing shat out, and so suddenly this guy who's used to having a million takes to be able to do his content was just put on the spot, live streaming out to hundreds of thousands of people, and he just went and it was
hard to watch.
It was E3 gold is what it was.
It was. It really was. It was. I remember him saying something like, "Oh, this is the new Need for Speed. This is my friend John," or something like that. And then later on, it was like, "Oh yeah," and Gary over there is just going to take, and he called this guy 2 different names. Yeah, it was just very, very bizarre. Stump. Yeah, not great fun to watch if you're not a fan of cringe comedy. But if you are, beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's the first nomination there. So whoever miffed the auto cue on the Need for Speed EA E3 press conference, we have a nomination for Jeff. Don't call me Jeff Kaplan. You are everything that's wrong with the games industry. So this sounds like a tweet made by this dude Balthazar. I think this was you.
Yeah. So Jeff Kaplan, who's immortalized by his saying "Don't call me Jeff Kaplan," has. He made a tweet earlier on in the year, which he didn't really think too hard about giving context or anything when he put it out. And he effectively, so for people who don't know, Jeff Kaplan is one of the creative leads at Blizzard. And he said that people who play Overwatch are everything that's wrong with the games industry as one of the creative leads of Overwatch. What he was actually trying to say is that the community had become increasingly toxic, and that toxicity within online communities was everything that's wrong with the games industry at the moment. But what he actually just ended up tweeting was, "You are everything that's wrong with the games industry."
Oh man, I'm surprised he still works there.
Yeah, so the thing is, Jeff isn't a big twat, but if the whole this award can be extended just to situations as well that made people just look like the biggest fucking twat of the year. That tweet by Jeff, "Don't call me Jeff Kaplan," certainly gave him infamous twattery for the rest of the year.
Nice. I think I recognise him is he wears glasses, right? And he's got darker hair.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
And he usually wears sort of those oversized hockey sweaters or whatever.
Right. Yep. I do remember him from the documentary on Blizzard's canned MMO.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the final nomination in this category is Pete Hines from Bethesda for giving the go-ahead to release Skyrim again.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Pete. But I think the thing about Pete is he's a double whammy, because one, he's probably a lovely guy, but he just comes across as sort of very dark and sociopathic on stage, and also just loves to just flog Skyrim, a 6-year-old game, you know?
Yeah. Really trying to cram that one in every orifice by now.
Yeah. I mean, I own Skyrim on enough different platforms to probably do that, you know.
Nice. Well, again, those nominations, the Need for Speed one, Jeff Kaplan, you were everything that's wrong with the games industry, and Pete Hines for giving the go-ahead to release Skyrim again. Balthazar, where do you come down on this one, man?
This is a hard one for me. I'm trying to decide between two, but I think I'm going to have to give a bit of leeway to Pete Hines here, in that he is the, he's the PR guy for Bethesda. I don't think he pulled the trigger on re-releasing it again. So my vote goes to Jesse, whatever his name was, who mythed the Need for Speed.
Nice.
Well, I'm also voting for whoever fucked up the auto queue, or whoever was responsible for that absolute shit show of a piece of content in the Need for Speed EA E3 press conference there. What say you, Mike?
I'd go for Pete Hines, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe not specifically for re-releasing Skyrim again, because I don't think it's cool that it's out on Switch and stuff like that. But like the other stuff they've been jamming in there, like with the Bethesda Creation Club.
Creation Club. Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah. And all the memes.
Yeah.
Skyrim on everything.
All the memes. Yeah.
My heart says Pete Hines. My heart. My heart.
No one's ever said that sentence before.
my heart is screaming Pete Hines, but I know that's going to bring it to a deadlock. I mean,
that's fine, man. Bring it to a deadlock if you have to.
I mean, I think there's too much has gone on with kind of Bethesda and Pete Hines this year, so that's where my vote's going to go. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I guess we have a tie in that one, in the Need for Speed. Whoever fucked that up. But
to be honest, to be fair to the award itself, we probably have to give it to Pete Hines because we've identified him. We can't give biggest twat to some dude we don't know who was responsible for the Need for Speed thing being fucked up, but we don't actually know who it was that was responsible.
I actually kind of like the idea of being able to call some guy.
It's good to put a face to the award. So,
even though Pete Hines may have not been the person to pull the trigger, it looks like it's going to Pete Hines. Congratulations, Pete Hines.
Yes, well done.
biggest twat of the year. Very good. All right. This is a lot more positive, this next one. Developer of the Year, very straightforward. We have only two nominations for this one. So I think this is going to be a lot easier. Developer of the Year, we have Nintendo, first Developer of the Year, or Guerrilla Games. Anyone chime in, go ahead.
Nintendo. I mean, multiple. The reason why there's only two nominations in this category, I'm pretty sure, is because three people put the same developer, and so you condensed it into just one. I'm pretty sure three of us said Nintendo.
I couldn't actually think of anyone for this one. The only one I could think of was CD Projekt Red, even though they haven't really done anything. That is still really cool. But
I mean, if we want more to vote for, sure. Platinum Games, they put out another game this year, and it was good.
CD Projekt Red for letting Danny O'Dwyer film them for a while.
Platinum Games. Good. I would probably, out of those two, go for what were they again? Guerrilla Games.
Guerrilla Games and Nintendo.
Well, Nintendo, I haven't really had much to do with Nintendo this year, so I'll go with Guerrilla Games for
Guerrilla Games
for
Mike. Reagan?
So I actually put Guerrilla Games on the list because I think they needed to be mentioned.
Yeah, they did. They put out the Frozen Wilds recently as well.
Yeah, so they've actually done a phenomenal sort of bit of work this year. Horizon Zero Dawn came out of nowhere, and they had an awesome, strong female character, amazing storyline in their game. All the kind of questions that people had about the game were answered. They ticked a lot of boxes. They've got some DLC. They're doing everything right. But then Nintendo, they've had a new console, which everyone was kind of, was always a little bit concerned about. The Switch is basically smashed onto the scene as a contender right up there with the big boys. For all its own reasons, it's paving its own way. And then we've got fucking phenomenal games like Zelda and Mario. It's tough for me because I love them both, but I'm going to put my nom on Nintendo.
Nice. Yeah, I'm torn. Because Guerrilla Games, again, they were the Killzone guys. That's all they were known for. They were Killzone. They did a first-person shooter, pretty good first-person shooter. A decent amount of lore there and relatively fun games. And then they just came in and made probably one of the best open world games of all time. They just smashed that out somehow. They'd never done an open world game, and they put their mind to it, and they made a phenomenal game. At the same time, the Nintendo Switch is one of the best consoles ever made. It's incredible. It's an incredible piece of tech. I know Zelda's great, even though I've only played a little bit of it. Mario is unfathomably good. So I don't.
Balthazar, you go and come back to Abe, because he's going to agonize over this for a while.
I started off and just said Nintendo.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I haven't even played Horizon Zero Dawn, so I can't vote for Guerrilla Games.
Yeah, true. Yeah. All right, Abe.
Oh man. All right.
If it helps with your decision at all, Abe, don't consider the size or the history or anything like that of the company. This award is just for this year. Who was the best? Which developer in your mind put out the most consistently high quality stuff?
Yeah, that's true. I've only played one Nintendo game, which is Mario.
You've only played one Guerrilla Games game as well, so it's easy for you.
This is true.
Which was better?
The Switch has got the longevity there.
Yeah. Bum 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 bum.
Yeah, no, I'm giving it to Nintendo. Yeah, it's a return to form for sure for Nintendo, and it's just I haven't really been that interested in their stuff for a wee while. They haven't really had anything that's really caught my eye. I played Donkey Kong Country Returns on the Wii. I played Tropical Freeze a little bit on the Wii U when I don't have a Wii U, but when I had access to it. But Switch, when it came out, I was just waiting for Mario Odyssey, because when I saw that game, I was like, man, that's a slice of me right there. So yeah, Nintendo is my pick. So congratulations to Nintendo for Developer of the Year.
Good job. Great job, Nintendo. Phenomenal year.
Really, really good. Even with 1-2 Switch, Nintendo, you still managed to pull up Developer of the Year.
Let's also not forget ARMS.
We can't go back on that now. Retailer of the Year. This is another one we had last year. These are Kiwi retailers or Kiwi-themed retailers. So we've got 3 nominations here. We have New Zealand Game Shop, who actually took out Kiwi-themed Retailer of the Year last year for consistently good prices. Decent customer support, and a week for the games to get here from the UK, which is pretty good. Overall pretty good. The second nomination is the internet. Now, someone elaborate on this.
I'm assuming that was Balthazar.
Yeah. I didn't know how to classify. By that, I effectively meant first-party service providers on the internet. So basically, not a store, but the official front for the thing. So the eShop, PSN, Steam, the Blizzard client, just purchasing things directly through the developer itself rather than going through a retailer. I think that all those platforms have been had quite a bit of work on them over this past year, and they've all been refined, and they're all brilliant experiences. This year has been the digital year for me. I was looking earlier before this podcast, I've bought 3 games physically this year, and everything else has been digital. So I've really been appreciating the effort that all the developers have put into kind of their first party sales platforms themselves.
Nice,
man, nice. GOG as well. GOG is solid. Sure. And the final nomination here is Mighty Ape. And Mike, I believe this was your edition, man.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of Mighty Ape, so still regularly get stuff off them. Yeah, I mean, I can't say their like prices and sales are always the best. I don't think they are. I think this year some of the best sales I've seen or got are from the PlayStation Network. So I suppose through the internet again, but some of the worst deals I've seen are through the PlayStation Network as well.
I agree.
Yeah, and the PlayStation Store itself, I just think is really badly designed and seems to be down a lot of the time. So, Mighty Ape.
Mighty Ape.
Cool.
What sets Mighty Ape apart from the competition in your mind? Like, what do they offer that no one else does?
For
those
like
banana points.
Yeah, banana points.
Brilliant. Made up currency.
Banana points. There's some pretty cool crap you can buy with banana points.
Can you buy tat with them? Like
buy what?
Buy tat.
Yeah.
Like just Mighty Ape shit. Like
yeah,
shit.
I got not even Mighty Ape. I got a Han Solo frozen in carbonite PSP case.
Awesome.
I missed that deal. I mean, for me, really good service. They got the overnight shipping going on. What else? I'm sure there's more reasons.
And they're actually from New Zealand.
Yeah,
too,
from New Zealand.
That's a very good point, Reagan. That's a very good point. Mighty Ape, I really like
pretty
their
consistent.
website. I like their interface.
Yeah.
Really easy to use, looks nice kind of thing. But yeah, the prices is where it falls down for me. They never have the most competitive prices, and the non-free shipping does my head in, because I've used New Zealand Game Shop for so long, and it's always free shipping on everything. Mighty Ape, when they try and charge me for shipping, I just fly into a rage. But yeah, I mean, we've got the 3 noms. What's everyone reckon? Mike, we'll go with you first, man. So you're Mighty Ape?
Yeah, I'll stick with Mighty Ape.
Stick with Mighty Ape. Nice. Reagan?
I'm with Balthazar this year. I'm going the internet. Which seems like a huge thing, but yeah, no, I haven't. I'm the same. Like, I've bought very few physical games this year, which is kind of, I guess, off the back of buying a PC. But yeah, the internet's been fantastic. Good job, the internet.
I've bought most of my games, I would say, probably through New Zealand Game Shop. But that being said, I do remember some really, really good sales on PlayStation Network earlier. I'm sort of part of this third-party website called psprices.com, and it just lets me know when there's good deals, because as you mentioned, the PS Store is so shit at telling you that stuff yourself. But there is good deals on there, but you just need to search for them. So I picked up quite a few decent little indie games for some good prices and stuff on sale on the PlayStation Store. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to have to go with the internet as well.
Nice. And I vote the internet. And to just to add to it as well, just so that we don't have any complaints later on that it's supposed to be Kiwi themed retailers. It's very Kiwi mentality to cut out the middlemen and just buy direct from the source, and that's what you do when you buy through the internet. So
nice.
Congratulations to the internet.
It feels like it could take that out every year, eh? But
just imagining Abe sending out a $5 Pack and Save voucher addressed to the internet.
Oh man, that would be amazing. I'm trying to fathom what address I would put on there.
I think you just write the internet on the front of an envelope and just go drop it in one of those collection post boxes somewhere. See what happens to it.
Put a little tracking tile in it and just see where New Zealand Post send it.
That'd be great. Who they think owns the internet. All right, well, that's brilliant. We'll move on to the next award. This award is the Air-Packed Corn Chips Award for the least amount of consumer value. So, I mean, it's one of my pet peeves, guys. When I go into the supermarket, you're buying corn chips, you're buying pretty much, you're buying potato chips, same thing.
Grain waves. They're the worst for it.
I remember those little bags of grain waves you used to get
with like one in them.
With one fucking grain wave in them. Bollocks.
What?
Absolute bollocks. The
Oh my god.
least amount of consumer value by far. I get so angry when I like crack open a bag of chips and about a quarter of it's full and the rest of it's just bloody air. But yeah, this is the Air-Packed Corn Chips Award for least amount of consumer value. We have nominations. No Man's Sky. This is a very, very personal nomination for me. I earlier in the year, previous listeners will know that I traded in No Man's Sky at JB Hi-Fi. Was given the monetary value of $5 for that game. And made even better that it still had the $95 price tag from the same store on the front of the case.
Oh, wow, that's
Should have gone and said you were returning it, not trading it in. See if they give you the 95 back.
Me and the cashier exchanged a look, and yeah, that was all that needed to be done, really. The next nomination we have is EB Games for $119 new releases. Still keeping up that I've noticed. I went in there the other day to pick up a screen protector for my Switch, and yeah, Wolfenstein: The New Colossus, $119. Bloody hell.
It's that way with every new release they bring in. It's
except for Nintendo, because again, like how they don't depreciate in value, nobody's allowed to appreciate the value either. Nintendo set the prices and they have to keep it at that price.
Yeah.
So they have to release new Switch games at either 89 or 99. I'm not sure which it is.
Yeah, still awesome. But yeah, every other thing where they can set their ROP, it's 119.
Yeah.
The only reason I go there these days is just so I've got something to do on my lunch break.
I go there for amiibos.
I was just thinking, I can't even remember the last time I was in EB Games. It was probably when I was still in high school.
Really?
Oh, man.
Wow.
Yeah,
good job.
Don't see a reason to actually go in there.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah, no, they're my least favourite games retailer in New Zealand. Not a fan of them, especially with their sales signs that they put everywhere. Obnoxious as fuck. But yeah, EB Games for $120 new releases. The final nomination we have in this category for the least amount of consumer value is Skyrim for being back again.
Oh man!
Don't we already?
Just won't go away.
Already have Skyrim?
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. Why are you like? Oh man!
Here's why, Reagan. Because I saw a comment on the internet from someone who loved Morrowind, loved Oblivion, never bought Skyrim because their computer was shit and they've never owned a console until they bought a Switch, and now they're really excited to be able to play Skyrim on their Switch.
No way.
There's got to be.
That's why they're still doing it, because there's like 3 people in the world that's the case for, and those 3 people haven't bought a copy of Skyrim yet.
Do you think? Do we know? Is it full price on Switch? Like,
I would assume so, because it's going to have all of the I don't know. Was there even DLC for it? All the DLC. I'm assuming
it was
there
a Zelda costume.
And it's going to have the Link costume, which will probably mean, that's $20. Add $20 to the price tag.
Yeah. There was a bunch of Zelda themed crap that they were putting into it.
Yeah.
But Skyrim, I just imagine is going to become like the Bible or the Oxford English Dictionary of our generation. You go to someone's house when we're all 70, and they'll have their shelf won't be full of books anymore, it'll be full of video games, and it'll just be like, oh yeah, and there's Skyrim. Like everyone has a copy.
I'm honestly surprised
go to a hotel and there's a copy of Skyrim.
I'm honestly surprised that in Fallout, where the kind of the history of the world has been forgotten, and they've made up this mythology and everything of how they believe the world used to be based on texts and stuff that they've found around the place. I'm surprised that they don't believe Skyrim is the history of humanity before it's what it is now. Like every home you go into, you just find Skyrim. That's all they can find anywhere. Skyrim. And they're like, oh, this must have been what life was back then. This was like their history. This was an account of what their life was like.
And you walk into
that'll be our future. 100 years in the future, because we're going to have a nuclear fallout next year. So in 100 years, when it's entirely a new generation of people who didn't live in the pre-nuclear fallout area, they're going to believe that Skyrim was what humanity used to be, because that's all that's fucking lying around on every device.
That would be such a fantastic meta commentary for Bethesda to do. I know they'll never do this, but in the next Fallout game, just put copies of Skyrim in every house.
Or just mod it. Just someone out there needs to make a mod. Yeah.
Well,
instead of books, it's just copies of Skyrim.
Like in Wolfenstein, you come across the old arcade machine, and you can play so this is Wolfenstein 2. And you can play the original Wolfenstein, so just have that. And in the next Fallout, you just come across a computer and you just play,
Skyrim. That's how they continue to re-release Skyrim. Now that it's on every platform, they just put it in an arcade box in their other games, the whole of Skyrim to be played.
Every Bethesda game just has Skyrim somewhere in there.
Yeah.
The whole of Skyrim. Brilliant. Well, again, those nominations for least amount of consumer value. No Man's Sky for the $5 trade-in, which I could have went and got, a pie and a sandwich, or low class sandwich anyway. EB Games, $119 new releases, and Skyrim for being back again. What say you, Balthazar?
EB Games, I think, for this one. Those new release prices are just ridiculous. I laugh every time I go in there. Now that I do buy purely digitally, I just walk in and just scoff audibly as I just walk over to the only shelf in there that's worth anything to me, which is the Amiibo shelf.
Nice. I can just imagine you walking around this. Walk over to another shelf.
Yeah. And I still, now it's not just me, but it's also Craig, the manager for the Wellington branch, also audibly laughs at his staff if I'm at the counter and they ask me if I want to pre-order anything. It's not just me laughing in their face now, he laughs at them too, because the encounter has happened so much.
The morale at that store is super high.
Wow.
Brilliant. Mike?
I would go EB Games as well.
EB Games as well, $119 new releases.
I think even No Man's Sky sort of falls in with EB Games, doesn't it? Was that where the $5 trade-in was?
Oh, it was JB.
That was JB Hi-Fi.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they would probably give it $5 anyway.
They're probably $2.50 store credit.
Yeah, EB Games.
EB Games. Reagan.
Well, see, I'm a bit torn here because. Yeah, I'm not a fan of EB Games, but man, I'm so equally not a fan of Skyrim being back again. And this has been a bugbear of mine for past listeners. You would have heard me talk about this a number of times. Just Skyrim just coming back over and over and over again. So I have to stick to my guns, and Skyrim is just stop it. Stop it. Next year has to be the year we don't get another version of Skyrim.
Oh, man. Okay, so we've got two for EB Games, one for Skyrim. I'm going to be difficult here and vote for No Man's Sky, because losing 95% of the value of something in the space of 12 months is pretty insane. So I guess EB Games takes it out for two votes for EB Games. So congratulations, EB Games, for providing the least amount of consumer value. Let me just go over that again to make sure you don't hear. The least amount of consumer value EB game, you muppets. Right. Brilliant. Let's move on. We're up to most baffling business decision. Now, we had this one again last year. There was things like Bethesda pulling review code from reviewers. I'm trying to remember some of the other ones we had as well. There was some very, very strange. I think No Man's Sky was in there just in general. But the nominations for 2017 most baffling business decision are Bluehole Studios, who are the acquired PUBG, right, Balthazar?
Yeah. Well, they are the developer who partnered with PlayerUnknown or whatever to make.
Right. It's right. So they're the publisher of PUBG kind of thing. So Bluehole Studios has tried to copyright the battle royale genre of game. So the whole genre. PUBG wasn't the first of this genre, so everyone hates Bluehole Studios now because they're trying to copyright something they didn't invent, and neither did PUBG. So yeah, that is a very strange decision on their part. Bluehole, I'm not too familiar with them. I believe they're Korean, a Korean publisher or something like that. I think they're either Korean or possibly Japanese. But yeah, I don't know. It seems like a weird idea to try and lay claim to something. It's
so
like
much risk in that, right? Like,
yeah,
you know, if they pull it off and they do manage to get rights to a genre, like that's awful. That's like almost anti-competitive. And if you don't,
absolutely,
and then if you don't get it, everyone's like, well, what the fuck are you up to? Like, there's no winning in that game. It just doesn't make any sense.
Have you guys ever heard of the game Devilian?
No.
That's what Bluehole Studios made in 2015 before PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds.
No, well, there you go. No one's heard of it. This actually reminds me a lot of, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the Fine Brothers, the guys who make the sort of React videos, and they try to trademark React as theirs, and everyone flew off the handle, and obviously with reason, and hated them, and then they had to essentially change their branding. I don't think they're called the Fine Brothers anymore. They're called something else, or a shorthand version of that or something, because they didn't want people to recognize their channel because it had so much bad, ill will surrounding it, kind of thing. So yeah, that's the first nomination there. Second nomination is letting your studio get purchased by EA. Now this one hits really hard because it just happened again yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah, Mike, I believe you put this on here, man.
Yeah, so was it Respawn, wasn't it?
Respawn was the most recent one. Yeah. That's still jarring to me.
Yeah.
I
can't remember who. So EA's just been shutting down all these studios, but what was I forget the name of the most recent one. It was
Visceral
was shut down.
Yeah. So Visceral got shut down. I think something I read, I can't remember if I'm remembering it right, is that they actually purchased finalized the purchase of Respawn before they shut down Visceral. I'm also not too sure like how much say the studio actually got in saying who they got purchased by either. It might have just been some sort of business trickery around it, but just I do think it's a big shame because it doesn't look great for the future of Titanfall 2 Titanfall, which was Titanfall 2 just being an absolute brilliant game, but awesome. I can just see EA ruining Titanfall 3 and then shutting down Respawn.
Yep. People were talking about you'll call in your Titan and this giant loot box will just come down.
You'll need to purchase a key to unlock your Titan.
Yeah. They'll just turn it into Call of Duty because no one can get into their Titans because no one wants to pay. But yeah, that really sucks. EA has sucked in a bunch of different studios over the years. They did Maxis, the guys who originally made SimCity, or the Sim games. They did Westwood, Command and Conquer and Red Alert. There's been a few more. The Age of Empires guys, I can't remember what they're called.
They've got BioWare.
They do. They do have BioWare. They had Visceral again. Dead Space guys, and really, really shite times for EA. Just seems to be swallowing smaller life forms and growing larger, which is never great. Yeah, not good. But the final nomination we have in this category is there's a developer who made exclusively arcade games. So they made Resogun and they made Alien Nation and things like that. They've recently came out and said, I think it was a tweet, they made a statement saying arcade is dead. So we're not making arcade games anymore because essentially they have no value whatsoever, and we're not gonna do that. They've made two incredibly successful arcade games,
and Super Stardust on PS3,
and Super Stardust, and they've pretty much just come out and said, "Nah, our genre is shit. We're not doing that anymore." It's definitely a baffling business decision, in my opinion. They seem to be making a decent amount of change off those games, but yeah, odd one. All right, Reagan, what do you reckon, man? Where's your vote?
My heart is with Bluehole Studios here for trying to copyright a genre. You know, what the fuck? Like, I sort of explained it before. Like, how are you? How? What is your end game? It's just baffling. I'm genuinely baffled by it. A group of people decided to do that. They sat down together and they talked about it and they decided to do it. Like, it's just I'm honestly baffled. So yeah, that's
like we own like EA sits down. They're like, no, we own first person shooters now. They're ours. We own them. No one else can make a first person shooter anymore.
Exactly, it's ridiculous.
Mike.
Oh, I'm sticking with letting your studio get purchased with EA by EA. Sorry. Yeah, just a bit gutted about the Titanfall 2 thing. So.
Yeah. I'd like to know a little bit more around the background of that. Where essentially Respawn, were they able to stop that? Like, are they owned by someone else before?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Was it their decision? Or?
Yeah, as I said, I think there was some like trickery because, like, I'm not sure if they could have actually stopped that from happening.
Yeah. Buyout. I'm not sure how all that buyout kind of stuff works. Like Vivendi have been trying to purchase more and more of Ubisoft. I know that's been going on for a long while. But yeah, I'm not too sure about that. But yeah, it really, really sucks. Any studio, any developer being absorbed into the giant amorphous thing that is EA. Not good. Not good.
Yeah.
Balthazar.
I think that while letting your studio get purchased by EA could be potentially the worst thing that you can let happen to your studio, I don't know. For me, it's most baffling, and I think most baffling for me is trying to copyright a genre. Like, that somebody would have that idea. They just sit down and you go, you know what? Like, we've done all right with this PUBG thing. We should take a break on trying to promote it for a while, and instead we should spend our time and resources trying to gain ownership of the genre it falls into. Like, it just I don't understand how people can think that's a good thing to do.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. Actually, I agree. It sucks that Respawn got absorbed into EA, but from a business perspective, it does make sense because they're going to make a shit ton of money. So EA obviously offered them a substantial buyout kind of thing. So that kind of makes sense from their perspective, even though it's an evil thing to happen. But yeah, I agree. Bluehole Studios trying to copyright that genre, ridiculous. Just a very odd move that's only going to earn them ill will. And for that reason, Bluehole Studios, you had the most baffling business decision of 2017.
Well done. Good job, Bluehole. Good job.
the publisher that no one had heard of before they made this move. Yeah. That's it. Right. The next award we have is the Return to Form Award. So this is for developers or publishers or anything really, aspects of games, mechanics, anything like that. Something that's made a real comeback in the last year. Maybe it's been down in the dumps. Maybe it hasn't been utilized properly in the last few years, and it's just stepped up its game. So the three nominations for Return to Form Award, Nintendo in general. We have puzzle platformers and comedy in games. So what say you, Reagan?
I think there's something to be said for all three of the nominations here. But again, I think Nintendo's had an amazing year. I can't think of a time where like a console release and the games, the first couple sort of exclusive games that have come out have been so strong. And when I mean so strong, I mean like 10 out of 10 incredible games. So yeah, I think I'm going to go with Nintendo. I think it's really awesome to see them back on top. So that would be my nom for sure.
Nice. Balthazar.
I like to give Nintendo praise wherever I can, but for this award, I mean, as someone who owned a Wii U and owned a 3DS and everything, I've always been somewhat in the Nintendo stratosphere and wouldn't say they ever went anywhere. While they weren't as prominently at the top, in my opinion, they were never doing any worse than Sony or Microsoft.
Sure. So
them still doing well now isn't a return to form. In my mind, they've just come more to the center of media attention with their successes. So I'm going to give my nomination to comedy in games this year. I think that we have had a few years where it's just not hit the mark. We've had some pretty atrocious attempted comedy in games. But this year, while I haven't played The Fractured But Whole yet, what I've seen of it looks like it is that, that solid South Park writing, and that it does come through really strong. And while I'm struggling to think right now of the examples, I know I have played a few games this year that have just genuinely made me chuckle with their writing, and that it hasn't felt corny or forced. It's just felt like a genuine interaction that just also happens to have been written in a very humorous way. So yeah, I'd say comedy certainly is picking up the pace again in games this year.
Nice. I can imagine Wolfenstein 2 probably has some good dark comedy in there.
Yeah, I guess that's one. It's not necessarily a return to form because Wolfenstein 1 did it as well.
Yeah, that's true.
But for the whole thing, for comedy in general being a return to form, yeah, definitely that contributed to it.
Nice. Very good. Mike?
I'd actually go with Nintendo, even though I said before Nintendo hasn't done much for me. I can see they're doing really well. And I can see myself picking up a Switch. Maybe in the next couple of months.
Do it.
Nice.
Yeah. It's all the peer pressure.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Very good. Nintendo. Okay, so that's Reagan and Mike for Nintendo. Balthazar for comedy and games. I'm also going for comedy and games. Probably not for the games that you would think. I haven't played Wolfenstein and I've played very limited amount of South Park. For Mario, because that game is just insane and it makes me laugh constantly because of just how weird and me picturing these people sitting down being like, all right, well, we'll put a top hat on this frog and that'll be real good use of our time. It's just bizarre. It just evokes all these amazing scenarios in my head, and pretty much I don't go a few minutes in that game without cracking up, even after having completed it and everything. So my vote's going for comedy and games. I think a return to form in that aspect. So we've got another tie here, fellas. I'm not sure if you want to do a tiebreaker or just leave it as is.
I'm happy to just leave it as is. I think we don't necessarily have to settle down on any one thing, and I think both of those are equally true. Yeah.
Yep. Nice. Well, sorry, puzzle platformers, no votes out of three categories, no votes. No, congratulations to Nintendo and comedy and games. So therefore, Super Mario Odyssey. Nice. Righto. We move into biggest Kinder surprise. So this is essentially just biggest surprise, but it's New Zealand. So had to chuck in a very non-New Zealand thing.
That German
word.
Yeah.
German word. Kinder surprises will always be Kiwi to me. I love them. They're great. So biggest Kinder surprise of the year. Nominations are Horizon Zero Dawn. We have the Nintendo Switch just as a console. Bethesda's Prey, or I should say not Bethesda's, bloody hell, I can't remember their name now. Arcane Studios Prey. The Shadow of the Colossus remake reveal at E3. And Uncharted The Lost Legacy. Mike, I believe you whacked in Uncharted there. Is that where your vote's still going to lie?
I don't remember doing that. No, I was thinking. I'm leaning towards Prey.
Prey.
Yeah, you did say that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, totally.
I mean, I'm kind of torn between Horizon Zero Dawn, although I suppose it was clear it was a good game before I bought it. Yeah. Uncharted games have always been pretty good, and I was a bit quite pleasantly surprised by The Lost Legacy. but probably Prey. Like I didn't have much expectation. I did play the demo like way back when it came out, and I didn't really enjoy it. But I just sort of was looking for something to play. Been getting into some like sort of sci-fi stuff, so I picked up Prey, sort of out of nowhere, because I did hear that the actual game was better than the demo, and yeah, ended up loving it. So yeah, my vote for Prey.
There you go. Nice.
Reagan.
This is a bit of a tough one, I would say. Yeah, I mean they've all been great. So Horizon Zero Dawn was awesome. I freaking loved that game. Switch is just probably the best console I've owned in many years. Haven't played Prey, so I'm not going to put my vote there. Uncharted, also haven't played it. To me, it sort of just sounds like a more Uncharted. But now that I see it on the list, Shadow of the Colossus remake reveal, that there was no leading up to this for me. This was just like, bam, hey, we're going to do this, and then I suddenly realized that it's all I ever needed. So so that's where my vote's going to go this year, Shadow of the Colossus remake, because I fucking love that game, and having a remake of it was the thing that I never realized that I needed, but I definitely did. So yeah.
Nice, man. Nice. Balthazar.
Long answer or short answer? Short answer, Shadow of the Colossus remake reveal.
Okay. Easy enough. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm torn as well. This is a really, really tough one. Horizon Zero Dawn, what a wonderful surprise that was. Didn't have much expectations from that game, being that it was made by exclusively FPS developer. Came out of nowhere, had one of the best stories of the year, easily. Nintendo Switch had pretty low expectations for this, to be honest. I didn't really get what all the fuss was about, and then I only realized when I bought one where my gaming habits lie nowadays, and that is in relatively short bursts with very low stakes and lots of joy and colors. And that's always been Nintendo. So yeah, I'm hugely into that. Prey was a massive surprise, so much fun, so much more versatility to that game than I was expecting. Shadow of the Colossus, again, something that just really came out of nowhere, just completely out of nowhere. No one was expecting that. Uncharted Lost Legacy, I mean, it wasn't much of a surprise for me. I really enjoyed it. It was more Uncharted, as you mentioned, Mike. I liked it a lot, but it wasn't a huge surprise. So, this is a real toughie as well. I'm gonna say I didn't expect to enjoy the Nintendo Switch quite as much as I did.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I'm really in love with that console, and my vote has to go to Nintendo Switch. So congratulations to the Shadow of the Colossus remake reveal.
Yes, nice. Good job.
Big surprise. The E3 press conference. That I believe is coming out next year, so we'll look out for that, because I still haven't played Shadow of the Colossus, and I've always wanted to.
Track it down. Play. Oh well, I don't know. Play the original.
Yeah, I have track it down. He has it on PS2.
I have it on PS2, but the PS2, I don't. The cord on the controller is so tiny. I just can't. I can't do it, man. I can't do it. It's annoying. That's why I like my Switch.
One thing that's stopping you from playing one of the best games of all time. The cord on the controller is just too short.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you say it like that, I do feel like a bit of a doofus. But yeah, no, congratulations, Shadow of the Colossus. All right,
I'll be picking that up again when it comes out.
Yeah,
big time.
Bloody great. Another award from last year, Best Use of Sound. I believe Doom took this out last year, or was that Best OST?
I think it was Best Use of Sound, because I remember us talking about like the way that the sound and everything reacted to your movements and
you made it like a rhythm game.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, Best Use of Sound nominations for this year are Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus. Balthazar, you're the one, or either you or Mike added this. Do you guys want to fill us in on the use of sound in this game?
I put that one, yeah. Just phenomenal. Again, like there's nothing in it that necessarily separates best use of sound from best OST. It is typically just talking about the soundtrack for Wolfenstein 2. The sort of sound effects and things like that are really good, but they're not atypical for, that sort of game. It's, footsteps, heavier sounds for things falling, gunshots, explosions. But the soundtrack, again, much like Doom's, is just phenomenal. There's a really cool scene which Mike, you brought up the other day with BJ and that resistance leader in that town, where they're drinking and having their debate over the table while they're throwing back shots. And the use of sound in that scene in particular is so good, where you've got the bullets whizzing past the window as the Nazis are shooting up into it while they're arguing. You got the fact that when it's the one guy talking, it's the very soft sort of clarinet as he's giving his sort of very passionate speeches about why he has his beliefs, and then when it cuts to BJ, it's like still the clarinet in the background, but then the heavy metal music powering over the top, as well as he's slamming his fist down going, join the fight or be part of the problem, kind of thing. And it's like, it's just, that scene is probably the best scene in a game like from 2017, just in terms of everything cohesively coming together in one cutscene. So yeah, pretty much it gets up there for that scene.
Yeah, that's
awesome, man. That sounds like something out of Inglourious Bastards.
Well, actually, really? I believe they took a lot from Inglourious Bastards, because they actually, I don't know if you've really noticed, but they've changed how BJ looks in Wolfenstein 2 to sync up with a character from Inglourious Bastards.
Interesting. I didn't actually notice that, but just everything you've just said makes me want to play that game even more. That sounds freaking awesome. But yeah, Wolfenstein 2, New Colossus, best use of sound. We've then got Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy for being true to the originals. Mike, this would have been you, mate?
Yeah. Just I'm pretty sure they remastered or redid all the sounds and stuff, but just still just keeping that authentic feel, as well as they did. Was just really well done, and it would have been quite a feat.
I agree.
Keep it
the sort of the first plucky, the bongs of the xylophone that are the Crash Bandicoot original song kind of thing. Yeah, made my heart sing. The day. Loved it. Very, very good. And the final nomination is the soundtrack for Snake Pass, which I added to the list because I just wanted to, because it's so damn good. There's not enough music in that game, but those 5 songs or whatever that's on that game are just great. They're so Plinky Plonk and David Wise and brilliant, Donkey Kong style, bloody awesome. So Mike, where's your vote, man?
I'll stick with Crash Bandicoot.
Crash Bandicoot?
Yeah.
Nice. Balthazar?
I have to stick with Wolfenstein because I haven't played either of the others. So.
Nice. And Reagan?
So I have also only played Crash Bandicoot, but I'm just going to say Wolfenstein because I was convinced by Balthazar.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. Good, a good water cooler pitch there. I'm pretty into. I just want to play that damn game so much that I'm going to give it to Wolfenstein because I know it's going to be good. There's no chance.
Not even giving it to Snake Pass. Your second favorite game of the year.
Yep. No. Get to it. I mean, Wolfenstein. I really want to play it before the end of the year because I could retroactively go back and change my game of the year if it's that damn good. But or honorable mention kind of thing. But no, Wolfenstein 2, New Colossus, best use of sound this year. So congratulations to Mick Gordon, the composer of both Doom and Wolfenstein for 2 years running, taking out the original soundtrack part of the best use of sound. So that's really awesome. All right, this is another special award that we did last year. Very strange award that I might have to explain a wee bit here. The most Hideo Kojima move not pulled by Hideo Kojima. So, the enigma that is Hideo Kojima has done some very odd things in the past. A lot of meta stuff in his games. Often just a very enigmatic, mysterious dude who does strange things, but is very entertaining. So every now and then a developer or a publisher they'll just do something that's just completely off the wall and it's usually relatively successful, but you really don't see it coming, and it's kind of a like, why the hell did you what? you do a double take in a way on this sort of decision. So the most Hideo move not pulled by Hideo Kojima, first nomination, is Bethesda for embracing the Kill Nazis in America campaign for Wolfenstein 2. So, as we all know, Nazis came back in a big way this year, unfortunately, in stateside. And, there was real Nazis in America, and they were roaming around, they were among us, kind of thing. Bethesda took that idea, and Wolfenstein 2 is, set in America kind of thing with Nazis, and they just had the slogan "Kill Nazis in America," and then sort of paired it with footage of real life, Nazis disrupting general life this year, kind of thing, and in a way, it almost advocated murder, which I thought was a bit odd.
Yeah. Well, it more or less does, but yeah.
I mean, I feel in two minds about it, because A, it advocates murder, never good, but B, it's Nazis, and who gives a fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's strange. I definitely didn't see that one coming, though. I mean, if anyone was going to advocate murder, it was going to be Pete Hines. Please don't sue me, Pete Hines. Second nomination we've got here is Nintendo working with Ubisoft, which really was completely out of whack. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the internet not happy about this when it was announced. Beloved franchise Mario being put with a franchise, Rabbids.
Just a franchise.
Not something anyone saw coming, and ended up producing a pretty damn good game by the sounds of things. So yeah, a really strange move, really wacky, off the wall kind of decision made by both companies that ended up working out. So yeah, Nintendo working with Ubisoft. I'm going to have to pass this one over to Balthazar and or Mike for the final one, which is to do with Nier Automata. So one of you guys want to take it?
Well, one of the reasons, I mean, last year when we were coming up with the awards and sort of talk about the categories, one of the things cited as an example of a Hideo Kojima move that was just so, gutsy and bizarre, and why'd he do that, was with Metal Gear Solid 2. And with all of the promotion and everything leading up to release of Metal Gear Solid 2 being about Snake and the tanker chapter. And Snake was still the main character, don't worry about it. And then you play the game and you realize the tanker chapter is about 3 hours and Raiden is the main character in Metal Gear Solid 2. And you've got another 20 plus hours to go with this mofo running around.
I've read like 9,000 word essays on why that was done.
And yeah, it's utterly bizarre, and it is such an iconic Hideo Kojima move. And so for that reason, like Nier Automata, hands down in this category, like all the advertising, everything about it indicated you were playing as 2B, this female android character. And then you actually play the game, and over half of the game is played as a different character, and she's not even slightly the main character in the story. So again, it was a Raiden Snake bait and switch. But, because we don't do spoilers for games that are still fairly new, a 2B and other character bait and switch as to who the main character really was and who you'd actually be spending most of your time playing.
That's awesome. Mike, do you want to add anything to that?
Just with Nier, I just remember I mentioned before the Yoko Taro, just him rolling around on the ground with his funny mask. Can't remember what he was saying.
Yeah, he was saying Square Enix shit.
Yeah.
Square Enix being the publisher of Nier Automata.
Yeah. Yeah, which is a bit bizarre, but yeah.
Very good, very good. Well, those are our three nominations. So we've got Bethesda advocated murder. We've got Nintendo working with Ubisoft, and we have Nier Automata for the old bait and switch. Pull the wool over your eyes a wee bit there. So Balthazar, you're sticking with Nier?
Yeah, I am. The copied from Hideo bait and switch. Nice. I think I'm probably going to
pop my vote in for Nintendo working with Ubisoft, because that really threw me for a loop when I saw that coming. I was like, one of the most revered developers and one of the most reviled developers working together. Did not see that coming. And then the fact they produced a pretty good game, confusing. Mike?
I'm going with Nier. It's
Yeah.
I feel like it's the kind of game that could have been made by Hideo Kojima. Like it's kind of weird and quirky, but still has a lot of heart to it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
My vote's going to go for Bethesda with the Nazis, because it's just feels like a risky move, and that's kind of not really what Bethesda does in a lot of ways.
No.
So
no, they don't.
Yeah, but so it sort of just had me quite surprised. I didn't expect that from them. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. That was also off the back of. I believe there was sort of a meme or whatever you want to call it on the internet going around, a punch a Nazi. When the Nazi thing popped up in the States, and Bethesda just took that one further. And just went with kill a Nazi. But that means the winner by 2 votes is Nier Automata, with
Nice.
Reasons that will not be discussed. Because I'm still really, really want to play that game, and I'm really excited to. All right, we're up to our penultimate award here, most botched release. So this goes to pretty much any platform. I think these are all... this covers all platforms. So the first nomination is Shadow of War and ARMS. Very strange combination there. Balthazar, was this you?
Yeah, they both tied it. They both fucked up real bad.
Can you just let us in as to what both of them did?
They were quite different, I guess. Shadow of War just focused on the wrong areas when it was promoting itself, focusing on sort of the microtransactions and things like that, and how they weren't going to ruin the game, but still by talking about them was just reminding everyone they were in the game. So by the time it came out, not only did people not feel bad for pirating this game, people actively wanted other people to pirate it, citing the reason that the microtransaction shop didn't work in the pirated version because it wasn't online. Therefore, it was the definitive version of the game.
That's right.
Like it was it was such a botched launch. And ARMS, simply because I can't think of another game that has disappeared so just immediately. Like as soon as it launched, it was gone. Nobody really gave 2 fucks at all. So for different reasons, but both of them just that I feel like they screwed up equally this year, and I couldn't decide between 2, and I noticed there were no other nominations for it, so I just put them both.
Nice. Shadow of War and ARMS there. The second nomination simply says have to agree with Shadow of War.
Yeah, that was me.
Just
it was the one that I had in my mind at the moment, because I suppose it's still quite recent, but I had forgotten about the one in the third nomination. If you want to get to that.
Yeah, well, the third nomination here, Mass Effect Andromeda, of course, had to be one of the most botched releases of the year for sure. I didn't see a single good thing said about that game when a few days after it released. Everyone was just laughing at the sort of macabre, uncanny valley character face modeling going on.
It was
not
awful.
A great.
I even played that game after they had done the first patch, and it was still awful. But then I don't think they really prioritized fixing that stuff up, which is crazy. I could go on about Mass Effect, but we shall continue. Yeah,
we have to move on. Yeah. So those are the only 2 nominations. I mean, if I'll move Shadow of War. Have to agree with Shadow of War into the first Shadow of War nomination. So we've got Shadow of War and ARMS versus Mass Effect Andromeda. Balthazar, you're Shadow of War and ARMS?
Yeah. Andromeda was truly awful, but I feel like it wasn't... I think, I'm going to vote Shadow of War. I think we should separate Shadow of War and ARMS into 2 separate things. You can't have 2 games as one thing. Because Mass Effect Andromeda, people, I don't know, like it released. So, like it wasn't until it was out and people got their hands on it that they realized it was shit. ARMS, I don't know, seemed to implode when it released, just like sucked back into itself when it released and nothing else. But Shadow of War was the thing that had something happen before it released that meant its actual release itself was fucked kind of thing because of their campaigning leading up to it. So I got to vote Shadow of War.
Reagan.
I'm going Mass Effect Andromeda. It was I spent too much money on that game for me not to. And that's all that I probably need to say on that. Really, like it was just, and the game itself wasn't great, and regardless of all the weird animations and things. So, there we go.
Botched release. Mike.
Balthazar makes a good point about sort of being botched sort of right before the release of the game, but I just still think Mass Effect was just such a mess. Not even just like right after release, but just like even after that, just
it was a joke.
The whole thing.
It was just a joke. Yeah, it's the only video apart from No Man's Sky. It's the only video game I've come across where it's just been a joke. People have just made fun of it, and that's all they've done is make fun of it.
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect. All right. Well, I was pretty swayed by the idea of Shadow of War. When you said that the definitive version was the pirated version, that is absolutely a botched release. Like how could it not be? Your people. The consensus on the internet is pirate the game because you'll get a better experience. And that was something that sprung forth from the developers shoehorning, developers and publishers shoehorning these loot boxes and stuff into Shadow of War. I don't think it gets much more botched than that, to be honest, despite Mass Effect Andromeda looking like a holy house of horrors. Shadow of War's got my vote there, so we've got a draw again on this one. So I guess it's a double whammy. Shadow of War and Mass Effect Andromeda take it out as the most botched release of the year.
Well done, guys. Good job. Excellent work.
Arms not grabbing anything because apparently it doesn't even exist.
It's a black hole of a game.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, right. I haven't heard anything about that game. Very strange. All right. Final award. Everyone knows what it is. It's the big one. It's the OCG Game of the Year, or the outstanding achievement in the field of excellence. So, I mean, we've all got our own Game of the Years. We've got a Game of the Year each, and we've got an honourable mention. So I think we just chug on through them. So, I mean, let's go with special guest Mike. What's your Game of the Year, man, and why? And what's your honourable mention?
So my Game of the Year was Near Automata. I thought I knew how to pronounce it, but apparently not. Just a great all round great game. Like awesome, like stylish combat. Love the story. As I said before, it's got a lot of heart to it. Shit gets real about 2/3 of the way through, and just sort of becomes a bit of a descent into madness, and just absolutely brilliant story. Absolutely loved it. Probably the only minor complaint I have about the game is some of the graphics are a bit shit. Like with some of the walking around, you see these like really shitty like copy pasted blades of grass sticking out of the ground, and it doesn't look that great. But other than that, just absolute top-notch game.
Cool. Nice one.
Nice. Very good. And your honourable mention there, man.
That'll be Horizon Zero Dawn.
Nice.
Yeah, I think we've talked about that quite a bit today already. But just absolutely brilliant story and gameplay, and combat as well. The robots, the way you fight the robots was really cool. Just sort of picking them apart piece by piece. Going for the weak points. Yeah,
I think the story and the combat are totally the stars of that game, eh?
Yeah.
Both really good. Well, awesome, man. Well, that's Nier Automata and Horizon Zero Dawn.
Good job.
Game of the year for Mike and honourable mention. Reagan, what is your game of the year, sir? And what is your honourable mention?
Thank you, Abe. My game of the year is Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Nice.
This is, I mean, I've always liked Zelda games, but this just really took it up a notch for me. I suppose you could say it sort of plays into my favourites as, in terms of genre. I love open world stuff. I'll play any old garbage as long as it's open world. But I think the core of this game for me is that it's simple and complex at the same time. It really all you do, you just link and you run around and you hit shit with a weapon, but that belies the complexity of things like the weather mechanics and some of the massive kind of boss dungeons. Well, I hesitate to use the word dungeon, but the puzzles, the degrading in the weapon systems, the food systems, and just things like. We mentioned earlier how, when you light a fire, you can then use the updraft to gain sort of verticality on your enemies and things like that. It's like they just, and I've said this before, but they just designed the game based on common sense in a way. They just thought, hey, well, what would happen in real life if you did this? And they've kind of just based some really fun, cool mechanics around just common sense ideas, and it's something that, it'd be easy to overlook. So that and all the puzzles and things in it is just a phenomenal game. 10 out of 10 for me. My honourable mention, much as Mike has already said, Horizon Zero Dawn. It's
nice.
I think it's easy to forget games when they come out early in the year, but it's really stuck with me. I think I'm like an hour worth of playing that game away from getting a platinum trophy. Which is saying something for me. I don't typically go hard out for the platinums and things, but I found this one a breeze just because the game's so fun. Like you say, the combat mechanics are amazing, like shooting off the certain areas of them to wear them down and that kind of thing. And just a really, really cool game. Story was fantastic, pacing was fantastic, it looks beautiful, mechanics are all there. Awesome characters. So it's that's me. Zelda and Horizon Zero Dawn.
Nice, man. Awesome. Good on you, Zelda Breath of the Wild, Horizon Zero Dawn. Alrighty. Balthazar, what's your game of the year, man? And what came in a close second?
So my game of the year, I have to issue a formal apology to. For at the start of the year, I said this is the best game that nobody will ever remember. It's a phenomenal game, but because there's so much coming out this year, it probably won't make its way on anyone's game of the year lists.
Yeah.
Well, it's made it on mine, and it made it on Mike's. Mine is Nier Automata.
Nice.
I think that's the best game of 2017. It just did so much to push not just storytelling within the genre of an action hack and slash, but how you can present storytelling in a game full stop across any genre. It was just phenomenal start to finish. Like Mike said, about 2/3 of the way through, shit just gets real. It becomes so fucking over the top and intense, but at the same time manages to remain like thematically relevant to everything before it, and be kind of a perfectly in-universe continuation of the story whilst also being like a ridiculously meta social commentary kind of thing. So it's just crazy. And it's the only game this year that when I finished it, I was sad. It's almost like you felt like you just lost a friend kind of thing. Like it's done, like there was now a hole in you, something that was a part of your life because it became so sort of so finely tuned and so a part of kind of what I was doing and what I was thinking about when I was playing that game, that when I finished it, I was like, wow, there's now a part of me is now gone. Like I need to find something else now, because this sort of was my obsession while I was playing it. And so now that I've finished it, I'm just sad to have it gone kind of thing. And no other game this year sort of impacted me in that way. So Nier takes my game of the year.
Nice.
And my honorable mention goes to T-Loz Botwa, or The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Yeah, I mean, for all the reasons Reagan mentioned, but with the added sort of caveat that I don't like open world games. Exploring has always pissed me off in open world games, like, because there's no reason to do it. Give me a quest to go do, or get out of my way, because give me this world but nothing to do in it, and no, I won't explore it of my own volition, because you're not giving me a reason to. Oh, there's a cool looking vista over there, sure, but when I get there, what's there? The vista that I could already see from back here anyway. Who gives a fuck? Whereas in Breath of the Wild, there was always something there. You climb to the top of a mountain. Maybe at the top of the mountain, there's just one goblin sitting at a campfire. But that's an incredible, thing to come across, because you stand there thinking, what the fuck is this goblin doing on his own on the top of the mountain? How did he get that wood up here to make a campfire? Like, what's he doing? He's not even cooking anything over it, and he's not close enough to it for it to be keeping him warm. Why is he here? So then you stomp out his fire, you turn him into a block of ice, and you leave. And you're like, you just ruined his fucking day. And you could go off and do countless other things, and later on just end up back on top of that mountain. That goblin's still there as a block of ice. Like, the world remembers what you've done and it stays. And then you're like, oh, you know what? I've got a Deku leaf this time. So you hit the ice block with the leaf, and it blows away and it flies off the mountain. And you watch that goblin. You watch his little sad face and the single tear coming out of his eye as he just slides away down the side of the mountain. Like, that game gives you a reason to explore by allowing you to actually do anything. There are games like, as many times as it's already come up this podcast, Skyrim, that says, there's this huge world and you can do whatever you want. No, you can't. You can walk around the world and you can kill things. That's literally all you can do in that world. But in Breath of the Wild, that you can do so much, because the mechanics allow you to combine things together. You can glide around, and then if you're losing, a lot of height, you can actually quickly stop, aim downwards at the ground with a fire wand, go into the slow-mo aim mode, flap your arm 100 times to shoot lots of fireballs down there, and create a big enough fire if you're over a forest to give you updraft to then pull out your glider and blast back up again, all while you're still in the air, kind of thing. Like, you can actually do, if you can think of doing it, you will be able to do it, and that makes the world interesting and exciting to explore. And I guess the reason why I haven't, unlike Nier, I wasn't sad when I finished it, is because I've not finished it. Like, yeah, I finished the story, but I don't feel like I'm anywhere close to being done with the game still. It's just too good.
Yeah, nice one.
That's so cool, man. I remember the anecdote you told me when you first were playing this game about I think there was a bridge or something like that, and you shot
the drawbridge.
Yeah, the drawbridge. You shot the rope with an arrow, and the drawbridge came down, and I was just like, man, I've been waiting for this for so long. Yeah. This sort of mechanic, like. You get to I think the only other game that's done that is Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, but you get a game where you want to be able to do something like that. You're like, why the hell can't I do this thing? And it'll either go through the rope, like it'll clip through it, or it'll just do nothing,
or it'll go dink and be stuck sticking out of the rope like it was metal or something.
Yeah. But this game, they sat down and they combed over it and they put everything that people could possibly want to do in the game into the actual freaking experience, which is insane. So yeah,
you can hats off. Sneak up behind a boar and then jump on its back and ride it. Like, it's pretty great.
That's great. But yeah, congratulations, Nier Automata and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Alrighty, well, we've only got me to go. I think it's probably pretty obvious what my game of the year is by now. It's something I only picked up on the 29th of last month, and I've already put in 40 hours somehow into that game. I don't even know, because I only play it in bursts of like 2 or 3 hours, but I play it so much that I've managed to put in 40 hours. And that is Super Mario Odyssey, which I just think is an absolute insta-classic gem of a game. This just... everything about this game I love so much. The controls are amazing. I didn't play that much Super Mario 64 back in the day. I'd never had a 64, so I had to go over to friends' places and stuff to play it. It's so much fun just to run around and do big jumps, and they've put in so much thought into just the mechanics of movement that just tells you how great this game is going to be. Because when you enjoy just jumping, literally just jumping, it's going to be a damn good game. And there's so much more in that game than than in most AAA titles. There's so many more ideas in that game than the average AAA. Like one level, there's probably more than a Call of Duty or something like that in one level of Odyssey. It's just brimming with ideas, brimming with color. It made me laugh constantly throughout the game. Completely unpredictable, that game as well. Like some of the boss fights, which I won't go into because it's a bit spoilery, but holy shit, man! Like whoever thought up that idea was tripping balls, like completely off his rocker. I mean, Shigeru Miyamoto has been known. He came up with the idea of Donkey Kong when he was naked in his back garden. He's got on record and said that. So I mean, ideas are never in short change, and Nintendo and Odyssey is no different. It's just a phenomenal game. The inclusion of humans is incredibly confusing, quite disturbing, and wonderful. They turn up. First of all, they turn up in New Donk City, which is sort of the New York City thing that they showed off at E3 and that. They also turn up in other levels later on. They just kind of are there. One guy is in a taxi for some reason. And it's just this businessman, and what Nintendo thinks people are is amazing.
It just puts such a interesting spin on the entire Mario universe if you consider that in the original sort of Donkey Kong game where Mario was, climbing the thing, it wasn't Peach he was rescuing from the top. It was Paula, who is the mayor of this real life city as a real life human being, which Mario is not. So it just throws the whole franchise. It's just like, hang on. So his original girlfriend was a human. Even what? Like, what is that? I don't know. It's so bizarre. It's so beautiful.
There's this really, really weird part in New Donk City, which is it's a very small section of the game, so I don't feel that bad talking about it. There's a couple of moons, and it's sort of there's a few doors that you can go in and buildings and things around New Donk City. You go in this one, and there's just this swathe of New York businessmen and women walking towards you down this one alley. Just this constant flow of these people, like these almost like faceless looking Slender Men type people with fedoras. They all look like they're like 1930s gangsters or something like that. And they're just constant flow of them walking out this one door with this glowing bright light and going into another door with this glowing bright light. I'm just like, what is the context of this? What is the Nintendo thing? Is humanity, like, what do we do? What do they think we do? Like, it's so confusing, but I love it. It's so good. And there's a dude hidden amongst the crowd with like some weird cat ears on. And if you find him, he's like, I didn't think you'd find me with my cat ears. You're just like, what the fuck is this? It's so good. I love that game. It's amazing. It's a 10 out of 10. Like, it's an instant classic for me. It'll be in my top 10 of all time, I think. Honorable mention to my good friend Snake Pass. Sumo Digital made that game. David Weiss and the soundtrack. That just reinvigorated my lust for life. That came, fully fleshed itself out with Super Mario Odyssey. Started with Snake Pass. Just being able to use the word slither in a review like multiple times really made me really happy. And I think the mechanics are fantastic in that game. I love how you sort of have to move the control stick backwards and forwards in a snake-like motion, build up momentum. You can constrict yourself. They take the idea of a snake and they turn it into puzzle platforming, and that's so good. That's such a cool, unique idea. And just populate the world with collectibles. That's all you need. There's a goofy snake with his hummingbird buddy. A lovely soundtrack. It's all wonderful. Snake Pass is my honorable mention for the year. So,
nice. Good job.
Well, what a bloody year it has been, boys. My God. Holy crap. I'm just trying to figure out how anything can possibly top this.
It's not over yet. It's not over yet.
I
couldn't tell you what games are coming out between now and the end of the year, but it's not over. I'll just,
No.
Yeah, it's Xenoblade Chronicles 2 may take my spot for Game of the Year. It's not even out yet.
True that.
No, we have Star Wars Battlefront 2. I'm less confident that's going to take someone's spot for Game of the Year, but it's possible. It's possible. Call of Duty World War 2 as well, which I think is now out by the time we're reviewing this. But again, no one really wants to play that out of us, so we'll give that one a miss for the time being. But yeah, I think that just about wraps it up. This has been a very, very long show, as they usually are at this time of year. We'll probably pop this out in 2 parts, so you can have a 90-minute chunks, digestible chunks, as opposed to one giant 3.5-hour smack in the face. But yeah, if anyone's gotten this far, thank you very much for listening to us prattle on every fortnight, and anyone who tunes into the streams, the Facebook page, the Twitter, it's all very, very much appreciated. We really love doing this, and we want to wish, we wish to continue doing so, whether it becomes a big thing or not really too fussed. We just love having people who like what we do, which is really cool. So thank you again for tuning in. We can be found at all the usual platforms, and it's up to these guys if they want to do another podcast before the end of the year. I am taking off in 2 weeks' time to Europe for a big old trip around Europe. I've tossed my hat in at my job, and I'm just going to go and live it up for a wee while. And I'm fleeing summer to go to winter because I'm a maniac. And yeah, it's looking to be a grand old time. I might, if possible, try and Skype in if I can. No promises, but I may give it a shot. So yeah, thank you again for tuning in. Any parting words, fellas?
Have an excellent summer, everyone. If we don't catch you with another podcast, I know that I will be. So yeah,
I'll be staying inside.
Nice. Balthazar?
Nah, good year. So, good year.
Yeah,
I love it. Choice. Well, ka kite anō, folks, and we will catch you again in 2018. Goodbye.
Yeah.
I'm going to edit that out. That was.